slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the.
All right, that was, of course, talking about the National Sports Festival Target Gateway Games 2024. Last week, I definitely saw the unveil of the mascot, the logo, the theme of the National Sports Festival happening right there, May 16th to the 30th of May. You could see when it comes to infrastructures, when it comes to upgrading of the stadium right there in Abeokuta, and not only that, also in different centers as Ijeja, Shagam, across going down right here in Ogun State. National Sports Festival. Of course, the governor himself, Dakwa Abiodun, promises to be the best of the National Sports Festival. Fingers across, check out how that will run when it comes to the world of sport. Welcome to you at TV right there, whereby we give you the best sporting stories when it comes to the world of sport. Not only that, we have a lot coming from the world of tennis and other sporting stories. My name is Stephen Ajayi, and we'll be here to talk about things when it comes to England, the Premier League, and of course, a lot of things. When it comes to the world of sport, La Liga, yesterday night is about a win for Barcelona. One man talking about that in Homo got the only goal for Barca to keep the hope alive when it comes to the La Liga title. A lot of things when it comes to Europe this year, the Premier League, so very, very tight when it comes to competition. Few games to the end of the season, and it's going to be, when it comes to league football, at the end of the season is one of the most difficult area when it comes to the league. And I'm not only here in the studio, definitely. We'll be doing this together with Abiodun Gudikbe in the studio with us, and of course, Shegun Bamidili is in the studio also, and we'll be talking about a lot at this particular day. But firstly, let's also talk about the Premier League, and a lot went down in the course of this weekend. Last weekend, apologies. A lot went down last weekend when it comes to the Premier League. Of course, games also went down yesterday. Manchester City defeated 2-1 against Aston Villa. A very tight and match-watching encounter, and of course, keep hopes for the battle of the top four. And that is what we'll start with today. Is going to be talking about the top four of the Premier League. Looking at the table from the Premier League table, let's talk about Liverpool with 79 points, and we have Arsenal 66 points. But when it comes to the top four, the spot for the UEFA Champions League, definitely we'll talk about Manchester City, big Nottingham Forest, wonderful City underdogs coming out to battle when it comes to the Premier League. We're also seeing the Newcastle also battling for the European spot right there, and of course the man himself in an Emery, that's Aston Villa, boss, says that they're ready. The main focus now is about them qualifying for the European spot, and don't forget that they've increased the slot of the UEFA Champions League in the Premier League to 5 slots. So 5 teams will qualify for the UEFA Champions League next season, and that will make it even more tighter when it comes to the Premier League. And let me throw this to my analysts at this day, because they have a lot to say when it comes to the Premier League. And let's talk about the battle of the top four. But before then, let's talk about Arsenal, Liverpool, especially Team Arsenal in the Europa. Talking about the UEFA competition, we saw they're doing a lot against Real Madrid, and now in the Premier League, 66 points. Talking about Liverpool, whereby they are 79 points. You see, Liverpool are already taking this out when it comes to the Premier League. But let's talk about Arsenal. Do you believe that Arsenal could actually stay on the log of the table? They could actually maintain a second position, 66 points. Next, Manchester City, 61 points. We'll see 5 points difference. Yes. We'll say Arsenal, apologies, Abiodun Ogudikpe. You say that Arsenal has, of course, have in their mark in the second position. They should not actually bother too much of them, when they've actually lost hope when it comes to the Premier League. Now, all what they need to do is stay and stick in the second position. Do you believe that 5 points away from Manchester City is nothing to be scared about?
Yeah, it's nothing to be scared about, not because of the gap, but then because of the way they are playing. I think it's almost done and dusted for them taking second place in the Premier League. They have a healthy lead, which is 5 points, and of course, the way they are playing, there is this confidence. When they play with a lot of confidence, and they've got to a stage where they're able to manage their game, even when they don't. They are not that very, very impressive. They're not that very dominant. They know how to do it very easily, that they get their win. They get the 3 points when it matters most. They've dropped a couple of points when they drew some matches, particularly prior to Champions League matches, because of concentration and trying to think of the next big Champions League matches ahead. But then I think the toughest order for them is Real Madrid order, and they have been able to cross that with a lot of confidence, winning both legs and just considering one goal, and scoring 5 goals, which is for me a big job. So a very good job they have done. So so they've taken confidence from that, and they've been able to get some stability. A lot of injured players, Bukayo Saka, and other players are coming back. So the coach has a luxury of talents, to pick from. You can rest this player. You can say, okay, you play 70 minutes, you play coming 20 minutes later, to rest the players, You can bend some players, okay, you don't play in this match, I'm playing next match. So they have everything going well for them this time around. So I think if they can just keep their concentration level very well, and of course keep their shape, keep their posture, second position is good to go for them, and of course automatic qualification for Champions League next season.
Okay, automatic qualification for them next season. Arsenal, me myself, I'm actually giving a lot of prayers for Arsenal fans. I'm not an Arsenal fan, but due to the fact of the UEFA competition, at least they should get their hand to it, because they've actually, talking about Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, other teams, the underdogs, doing well like when it comes to, they've actually taken the UEFA Champions League. But Arsenal, one of the biggest teams in the Premier League, not even Europa League. So a lot for Arsenal. But Shegun, let's look at the league table. Manchester City, 61 points. Nottingham Forest, 60. Newcastle, 59. You can see just 1 point adrift. And yesterday we saw Manchester City against Aston Villa. Do you think for Manchester City, or let me just ask you this straight question. Log of the table, how do you feel at the end of the season? Who would actually step on from the 3rd to the 4th position?
Right now, I just feel based on what we have right now, we have Liverpool, Arsenal, City, and
Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest. Yes, then we have the 5th spot also for the Champions League.
Yeah,
so based on what I feel right now, I just feel the table is just those that are there are the ones going for the Champions League.
Those that are there, okay, no,
the
team. But if you're trying to say that these are going to be, we have Chelsea. When it comes to players, I know, Chelsea, this kind of thing, they have the first 11, the second 11. They are ready to, if one player is injured, there is another player to replace the team. And we have, if we want to pick out those teams, these are teams that are expected to be in that particular. You will just say no hope for Chelsea. They should just stick on to their Europa League, and there is no way for them, coming up to that particular stage. Chelsea FC.
What I'm saying that is because Chelsea is a big football club. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, if you check the next fixtures in the Premier League, they still have the top teams. They still have the top teams right now. I can actually see Nottingham Forest to the top teams because their position on the table.
Definitely.
They still have Nottingham Forest. They still have Newcastle.
Okay.
They still have Manchester United. You can't still count them off.
That means the fixtures are quite very...
Yes, their fixtures are still quite tough. But if you check the others, like Newcastle, they have the lack of inspiration and co. So based on their fixtures, I feel it's a tough one. But going to the Conference League, they need to focus more on the Conference League also. Because if you ask a player, no matter how competition is small or large, once you are playing to win something is important. So I'm very sure if you ask the players also, winning the Conference League will be very important for them.
Don't forget, in the Conference League, the second leg of the Conference, they actually lost in that game.
Yes.
I mean, because they found out that they've gotten the goals for themselves and they feel that they've qualified, so let us just relent. But that one is by the way. Abiodun, I'm feeling that you have a different opinion on what is said, talking about the top four. Because he said that this is how it's going to be at the end of the season, with looking at the fixtures. But what do you think about that?
I think there may be some slight changes. Right now, Manchester City is third position with 61 points after playing 34 games. Nottingham Forest is fourth position with 60 points, 8-point difference, after playing 33 games. So one more game for Nottingham Forest. And with the form Nottingham Forest is in right now, I think there's a possibility for them to, when they play their 34th game, there's a possibility for them of winning that game and leapfrogging Manchester City into third position and having 63 points, and that will be 2 points ahead of Manchester City. So there's a possibility for Nottingham Forest to leapfrog and Manchester City in top position. Also, Newcastle has also played only 33 games, and they are also on 59 points, just 2 points away from Manchester City. So that's another scenario that might likely change, because Newcastle too are also in very good form. Yes, they lost their last match against Aston Villa, I think 4-1 or so, or 5-1. Very unusual performance for them. But then, if you look at, they've already won a trophy this season, and of course, their performance so far this season, they are one of the very good side in the Premier League. So there's also a possibility for them to win other matches and still leapfrog Manchester City, who for me, we all know have not been that stable this season. They have been poor, and lately they have just been coming back, winning some matches.
But let me just pick something. Let's talk about Nottingham Forest. What actually worked right for Nottingham Forest to get to this stage? Because Nottingham Forest, we know, checking out the players, checking out the calibers, we have like of Anthony Elega, Taiwo Wuni, we have Chris Wood. That guy is actually outstanding.
He's got 19 goals
this season for Nottingham Forest. Yes. Checking out the midfield, we could see nothing so special. I'm not saying they're not good. They are good players. But nothing so special compared to the likes of Team Chelsea, compared to the likes of Manchester United, Tottenham also. These are players that when you want to, bring them close to them, they are much more better. But what works right for Nottingham Forest? We just say, just because the likes of United are not in form, likes of Tottenham are not in form, and of course, Chelsea also, I can still even put them in that category. They're not that actually doing so well as being expected. We say that is just the opportunity for them to be at this particular stage on the table.
I think that is part of it, but not totally. Not the major reason. Like, I liken them to the year. I think it was it 2006 or when Leicester City won the Premier League. Yeah. All the big teams faltered, and we have a team that had been compact together, and they had an experienced coach in the person of the Italian
Ranieri.
Yes, Claudio Ranieri, who has been in Premier League, has been in Italian League. He has vast experience, and I think the same thing is also working for Nottingham Forest. Nuno Espirito has experience. He has been in the Premier League.
Of course, he did so well for Wolves.
He has been with Wolves. He has been with Tottenham Hotspur for a short while. He knows his onions. He knows the Premier League. He knows and he's got a bunch of players together. Talented players. Elanga was not playing well for Manchester United. He came to Nottingham Forest doing very well.
He scored a goal. He scored a goal against United.
Taiwo Wuni has been a very good player in Germany, and he came to England to play for Nottingham Forest. He's been doing very well. First he didn't settle down. Later he got injured. Now, after the injury, he's doing very well. So I think the experience of the coach and the talent of the players, and they had the opportunity of concentrating on the Premier League. Like the top big teams, the Liverpool, the Manchester United, they will play in the Premier League, they play the Carabao Cup, they play the FA Cup, they will play the Champions League, a lot of, and of course they were not at their best. But then they are playing in the Premier League, in the Carabao Cup, in the FA Cup, and of course when they lose out in all those competitions, they have the opportunity to concentrate on the Premier League. They have a compact team, they have a very experienced coach, and they have young talents who are hungry. Who wants to achieve, who wants to they have opportunities to do something special this season they have not done before. So it's an opportunity for them to create history for them. So that hunger, the experience and everything is driving them. And of course the big teams are not at their best this season. So that's created a perfect storm for them to to put themselves at the top part of the table.
Let me just put this in also. Okay. And also, don't understand. I used to tell my colleagues, don't underestimate stadiums that the fans are closer.
To the pitch. They have small stadiums, and of course, that's an opportunity for them.
That's true.
To be behind
that's
their
one
team.
of their strengths.
Yes, one of their strengths, to be behind their team, to cheer them, to chorus, to sing for them, to tag them. Of course, the players feel this vibe, and of course, that encourages them to do more.
All right. Okay. To do more, and let's just quickly go on for this break, and we'll be back with more stories. Welcome back from that short break, and of course it's to you sports on the YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, and of course share to your family and friends. And we're talking about the Premier League today. And looking at the relegation zone, we actually, of course, could say it's been official that Southampton are out of course, of the Premier League. They've been relegated. We have Leicester City and Ipswich Town also 18th on the log. I think these are the three teams out of the Premier League. But let's talk about one man who has, been in Manchester United, a temporary, or will I say, what will I call it? There's a kind of name they give to, I think, a temporary manager for Manchester United just for 3 matches, and he did well. He went to Leicester City and did well for himself right there at Leicester City. We say he's the club because, honestly, anytime I see Leicester City play, I can still see talented players there. There's this guy, Ekanos, I think if I pronounce that right, that guy is amazing. Well, there is also a winger that's Madavidi. Yeah. Also doing well, and of course, a couple of players also doing well. But what went wrong to Leicester City? This is one of the worst seasons so far. In the last maybe 15 games, only one, and that is against Tottenham. And all the games they didn't score any goal. So this is so in the Premier League. Yes, this is so worst for Leicester City. This is very worst for a team. Even Southampton is actually not even doing well. At least they're still even fighting, getting goals, but them not having a single goals in so many matches. What would you say about this? Would that I point out to the manager, or would you just say, okay, Leicester City on his own, the team is just nothing? And
I think the team is very poor. It's not just about the manager, because they had the manager before was not doing well. They sacked him. They brought somebody in. Still, the results are not going the way they wanted. If you see a team where they keep changing managers, and of course the fortune of that team is not changing, something fundamental is wrong with that team. I think that's what's the problem with Leicester. Because football is very dynamic. When you have a team, you need to keep growing your team. You need to keep recycling your team. You look at the team as a whole. Where are the deficiencies? Where are the shortcomings? Where are the holes that we need to plug? So you need to bring players in gradually, one by one. You need to set up as to be very good defense, midfield, attack, and you need to have options. And when they're saying attack, who do they have in the attack? They have a very old Jamie Vardy. This Nigerian striker used to be there, though he wasn't performing very well. Nacho. He has been taken away. Nobody has been replaced. They have a person, Daka, for me, who is also a very good player. Very strong. He has some talent. He has very good talent. But then, how is the team set up to maximize the talent of these players, to get the best of players? If you have a Jamie Vardy as a striker, you need young strikers to back him up. You need a good midfield to supply him the ball. You can't expect him to be running the way he was running 10 years ago. You can't expect him to be at that same energy level. You can't expect him to still maintain his flexibility, his strength and everything. So for me, that thing is not being replenished enough. It's not been coordinated to
I understand.
Referee has been that team, has been the base of that team in the midfield, for how many years? Who is coming in to support him, or younger players to beef up the team. So that team is the team has a problem. So it's not the coach. No matter how good the coach is, if the team is not, we've seen a Carlo Ancelotti handle Everton and he wasn't getting results. Now the Real Madrid is getting results. So there is a problem with that team. They need to replenish that team, to grow that team, to bring in players, recruit the right players, and make sure the team is very vibrant. All right,
this goes to Shegun quickly before we go on straight to when it comes to players. Talking about the Premier League, let's not lift out some of the biggest teams in the Premier League, Manchester United and Tottenham. But we're talking about Tottenham this time around. The manager said that every second season he actually wins a trophy, and I think the only trophy that is getting close to him is the Europa League. I do think that Tottenham just have to, just has to focus more. Do you think getting the Europa League is much more closer to the manager?
Yes, it is. It is, because we all know that once you can even win the Europa League, definitely you're going to the Champions League.
Okay.
So it's very, very important. And there was a day I was telling one of my colleagues, like, bro, this man said at the second season I'll win something. Is he going to win something? Even though I don't want him to, because trying to think like, okay, there's a club there I also want.
Yes, okay.
You get what I'm saying?
I understand.
But very, very sure they need to concentrate on the Europa League.
All right.
100.
Okay, let's go straight to quickly. This won't take much of our time. There's some, of course, when it comes to players. We talk about one man doing things for Arsenal. Talking about Declan Rice, of course. After the UEFA Champions League, a lot of people, fans, the pundits, trying out to bring ahead of midfielders. And if you want to check out some of the midfielders in Premier League, Declan Rice, we actually want to mention Rodri, we mention Bruno Fernandes, but just because he scored 2 amazing free kick, yes, it's actually a very, very important free kick. That is what actually won the game for them. But now begin to compare him with other midfielders in the Premier League. How do you? Okay, let me just put it this way: from the comparison, let us put out Rodri and Declan Rice so far in the Premier League. If you had the opportunity to pick one, maybe you have a starting lineup, for instance, and you have Rodri and you have Declan Rice at a particular stage. Who would you, Shegun? Who would you love to pick at your starting lineup when it comes to these midfielders? Or maybe you have another option apart from Rodri and Declan Rice. What if you have another option? If you have Declan Rice, you had another option. Would that carry ahead Declan Rice than Rodri or any other midfielder when it comes to the Premier League?
Okay, right now, Rodri, for me, Rodri is number 1 player. Except from the likes of Sergio Busquets.
Okay.
Yeah.
For now, he's number 1.
Rodri is number 1. So don't I feel we can't just compare Rice.
Declan Rice has scored 2 amazing free kick in the UEFA Champions League.
But look at what Rodri brings to Man City, the balance. You understand? Playing that role, I feel that role is one of the most difficult roles in football for me. Wow. The number 6 position. You're receiving the ball from the defense to attack, controlling the game. You understand? I know Rice can do that. But when it comes to playing between Rice and Rodri, I have to pick Rodri. But I feel Rice is still doing his job gradually. You can see sometimes Arteta decides to play him up front also. You understand? But if you see Rodri, that is what he's doing. That's his job. That's his move. Yes, he knows how to do that. That's the best way.
So you rather start Rodri ahead of Declan Rice?
No coach is going to start Rice ahead of Rodri in that role.
I support of that.
I want to agree with him. No coach will want to start. That's the statement he made that I like. No coach will want to start a Rice in that role. Ahead of Rodri.
In that role.
Won't do that. Rodri is the best. Nobody beats him right now. But then Rice is a player. Give him his flowers. Last season, this season, I remember I can't remember that match. This season was playing and he scored for Arsenal. And the commentator said, not since the days of this French midfielder that played for Arsenal, Vieira. Not the sense of Patrick Vieira as Arsenal seen a midfielder this good. And I agree totally with that commentator. The impact Rice has had on that team is when he was being chased by Mikel Arteta for £100 million, he's good, but then he's coming from West Ham.
I remember then we had Declan Rice and this other guy at Chelsea.
Jorginho.
No, not Jorginho. This other guy that they bought from Brighton. One black guy.
Caicedo.
They're actually comparing him with.
Yes, and I was like, no, this is because a British guy, white British guy is too much. But then for me, he has proven that is worth that amount with his display, not just this season, since last season, not just against Real Madrid. He has played some fantastic games. That was a match he got a red card this season, and I think he got a red card for kicking the ball to throw in. He got a second yellow card and a red card, and didn't play the second one. I think that affected the balance in the midfield. I think they lost and drew some matches. They had issues without him in that midfield because he does not play most of the time from the base. At times he plays from the base. He plays ahead in an advanced role, attacking role. Yes. Particularly when Partey is in that midfield, Partey will stay at the base, and his effect on that team has been massive. And of course, prior to the Real Madrid and after the Real Madrid, we have been seeing it more and more. The positive effect on that matter, and I think that is very good. Top notch. Giving to us is one of the best midfielders in the Premier League right now.
All right, talking about midfielders quickly, let's talk about one man, Kupama, who has been. I don't see he has always been remembered, but Kupama, what was wrong? We had Kupama of last season doing amazing well, and of course at the beginning of the season, he actually made a little bit of record. I think he scored 5 goals in the match or stuff like that. So actually, but what went wrong with Kupama? So far in 7 matches, 8 matches, if not, Kupama hasn't been the Kupama we all know. Kupama is someone that at least in the matches gets assists, gets goals. We know him so much. At some period of time, they were copying ahead of Bruno Fernandes. We are copying ahead of Kevin De Bruyne and Martins Odegaard of Arsenal. Now Kupama, what went wrong? When we talk about masterclass, when we talk about players, when you want to give a player of professional, you will know by every matches. But now 8 matches, 9 matches, not at that spot where. But what really went wrong with Kopama right now. Shegun, would you say when it comes to Kopama, if you want to, bring him ahead of likes of Bruno Fernandes, would you say Kopama still have what it takes to, be in the position or be in the shoes of one of the best midfielders right there in Premier League?
Okay, yes, I feel, I'm very sure he has the opportunity to be one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. But one thing about me, the way I see football is, he's still young.
Okay.
He's still young. We need to give him time. He had a good season last season, but this season is not going well. We must not forget he was injured also. The injury also can affect his performance. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, Kopama still has a lot of time. He's playing with young players also. Like I said, how many midfielders in that Chelsea team that he has to sit down sometimes and learn from? For example, if you look at the Chelsea old days, the United, the Liverpool old days, sometimes the young players tend to sit down and watch the experienced ones to learn from them. It's important also. It is now you see a 20-year-old young boy, 18, playing 45 matches, 46 matches. I'm not saying it's not good, but sometimes they also need time to sit and watch from the seniors and learn.
So from the Chelsea squad, there is not actually one senior player.
Who is he learning from? Nobody. For me. So I feel he still has a very, very good. Let's see next season.
Okay.
Let's see next season.
Abiodun, do you have?
Yeah, I want to agree with him because I won't say what is wrong with Copa. I'll say what is wrong with Chelsea. When he was scoring, Chelsea was on fire. Chelsea was top, a very top part of the league. Second, third. Struggling with other first, second. And after that, I think things really went up because Chelsea is a team of very young players. Maresca is in first season with Chelsea, and as well, of course, so for me, those are a lot of the dynamics that are affecting the team. So we need to give the guy time. He's still young. He's still 22, and you expect him to carry the weight of that team. So the team is still going to grow. Palmer is still going to grow. I'm sure he's still going to come back in his own. But the guy is hugely talented. We've seen what he can do, what he has done, and he still have years to learn, to grow, and to still perform very well. If he's managed well, the team is managed well by a very good coach. So nothing for me is wrong. Players, even big players, have their poor time when they lose form and of course come back. So we don't need to put too much pressure on him. Still very young.
He's not at his peak. He's not at his peak.
All right, talking about Kopama and of course the team itself. So Chelsea fans, when it comes to football, you have to be much more. You have to be much more. When like what is you said before the program, talking about not everyone understand football very well. When it comes to sometimes it's funny enough when you check some of the comment sections, and of course some of you people just talk and
fans
for
being who they are.
You don't bring you don't see something and you feel like where do you come from? You understand? But that's actually by the way. But before we wrap things up this particular, let's just quickly go to the UEFA competition quickly, very fast. Of course, we already had the wonderful, beautiful moments from Manchester United from the Lyon's perspective, and of course, getting on to qualify. Well, I say a miracle because even before when United was 4-2 and when Lyon was 4-2, the commentator said it can only take a miracle for United to of course come back, and
he did come back.
He did that, and he said it.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. So let's talk about the UEFA competition starting from the Europa League. Of course, the draws is out. Manchester United will take on Atletico Bilbao. I did see. Are you actually optimistic that United could actually, probably against talking about Atletico Bilbao, despite the fact that Bilbao is much more, it's much more stronger than Lyon? Because talking about Atletico Bilbao, we have the Lico, the two Williams doing well for them, Inoki and Lico Williams, and of course they're playing right there in Spain. And when it comes to Spain, one of the toughest league right there in Europe. So what do you say about Manchester United? Can they actually overcome Atletico Bilbao?
I think nobody can say they can. Can actually say with full confidence they can overcome, but I believe they have the potential if they play the way they played against Lyon. That second leg, particularly the first leg, they didn't really play well. I think they were lucky to get away with a 2-2 draw. For me, Lyon maybe should have edged that first leg, maybe won it. But the second leg, they went ahead 2-0. Then they slept off. They went behind 4-2, and they came back in the space of 8-9 minutes. They scored 3 goals, and of course they won it and got the passion. They play with the energy, and of course the substitution that the coach made. The coach made very good substitution in that match that counted. The experience of players like Maguire, that played left back, Luke Shaw, all those guys came in. Even Ericsson was in the midfield. Those guys came in with some young guys, and that experience, mix of experience and youth, they got it right and they got the results. So you can play with that passion, with that energy, all the substitution, the coach, all the tactical decisions the coach made that day was spot on and everything worked well. So you can get it right. I think they can beat anything that river. But then if you put the cards on the table, Athletic Bilbao is doing much better in the Spanish La Liga. They are more compact together. You see them play with a lot of energy every week. Scoring goals, Nico Williams, Inaki Williams, and all that players in that team. So it's a tough one for United. But then if they can play the way they played against,
they can actually get on.
They can get it.
All right, quickly, Shegun, quickly. Arsenal can they, of course, get the opportunity to win their first UEFA competition? They've defeated. They said there's one that they say, if you want to become a champion, defeat the champion. So they defeated Real Madrid. Now, is it the right time for them to actually take this on? Of course, I get on to win that trophy.
It's a tough one. I have to say.
They're actually taking on Paris Saint-Germain.
Because I feel one of the best attacking teams playing one of the best defensive team. Yeah, I think so. I'm not saying Arsenal don't score goals, but their strength is their defense. So I don't even want to say. I can't answer that question. I don't mind if they win it, but I still see, because I look at Inter Milan also there.
Barcelona in the other semi-final.
Yes, Barcelona there. Yeah. So I don't know. But if they win it, congrats.
It's a tough one, but I think it's doable because the kind of mentality they played 2 legs with Real Madrid and even the match in the Premier League after that, it's still like they were in another zone, another level where they know, yes, this is who we are. This we can do it. We don't see this kind of stress or energy they exert to win some games. They won it comfortably. They know how much energy to exert, how much technicality they know. Everything was just falling in the right places for them. I don't know. It's somehow like magic.
It could be their season. It could actually be their season.
It could be their season. So if they can maintain focus, be stable, I still keep giving credit to that midfield trio of Odegaard, Partey, and Rice, clicking very well. Bukayo Saka is back. Martinelli is back. Those 2 guys from the wings are doing. You can't at times Arsenal doesn't have a good striker and they are still scoring goals. They are still winning. They can score against the Real Madrid, 5 goals against the Real Madrid. That defense, as I said, is very good. They concede less goal, and of course the midfield is vibrant. The wingers are getting the goals. The midfield, this Spanish guy in the midfield that plays the first 9, Merino is scoring goals. When he comes in, you see the impact. Trossard comes in, you see the impact. Or everybody's shipping in their beats, and of course contributing to the whole result. So it's good for them. If they can maintain it, they can beat anybody.
Do you know why I'm just skeptical about my answer? It's because I see Inter Milan there.